My next guest is a pioneer in the tech and software industry. Welcome Chitra Balasubramanian, the Chief Financial Officer of CircleCI. CircleCI empowers software developers and moves innovation forward. Chitra, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. I wanted to ask you first and foremost about the challenges that your company is facing in this rocky and uncertain economy.
Well, thank you for having me. I would start by saying, similar to many companies in the world today, we are navigating through a lot of changes in, how people work, moving to more of a remote and distributed working environment, ensuring that, where we have access to the great talent that's required to really drive business forward. I would say we're fortunate to be playing a central role within the software industry, as this is something that I know a lot of companies are thinking about today, given the important role that software plays in driving the economy forward.
So when it comes to, the unique role that software plays in the economy and the very uncertain circumstances that we're kind of navigating right now, I wanted to talk to you about, what's been important to you and your company's success in trying to make sure that you're accounting for all the different risk factors and all the, ways that the pandemic has reshaped the way that we do work across the world.
Yeah, actually, I think if anything, the pandemic has sort of sped up the urgency around really leveraging software for the economy today. Ultimately, it plays three very important roles if you, think about it. It helps people become more effective at their jobs by being able to reduce the need for, mundane, repetitive tasks, and instead to focus on critical thinking and solving problems that are, otherwise hard to do without that time and focus. And, this is particularly important in the current macroeconomic environment where there are a lot of challenges in accessing talent, just given the supply of labor and the constraints around that. And so being able to really reduce the sort of level of undifferentiated work and mundane activities is critically important. And software does play an important role in that. But it also is important for the economy, given that it's allowing creators, builders to really build massive companies that, will fuel our economy both today as well as in the future. And given the sort of, way that the economy is today, the way consumers behave today, it really is sort of that first touch experience for most customer experiences. And so companies at large really do need to think about, their own business differentiation and being able to create the best possible experience for their customers in order to thrive in this economy, in order to continue to be sort of a lasting sort of company within the global economy today.
Right. Now, I also wanted to touch on a point you made about, companies launching and growing and expanding. You spend a lot of time in the entrepreneurial space, and I wanted to ask you if you think this is a good economy, given inflation, uncertainty with the war in Ukraine, so many different question marks right now. Is this a good economy for entrepreneurs to get going?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I do think there are a lot of different forces at play right now that are causing many reactions, conflicting reactions in the macroeconomic environment. Let's just remember we've been on sort of a 12-year bull run where hundreds of billions of dollars plus companies have been created and supported. I'd say that, being an active angel investor and just member of the community of entrepreneurs, I can tell you that while valuations and such have changed, there's still a ton of activity at the pre-seed and seed stage sort of financing phases. For that class of investors, their time horizon is pretty long, if you think about it, 10 plus years. And so there's still a lot of capital in that asset class from newer funds that need to be deployed. And so I think while the bar has gotten higher from the standpoint of ensuring that you're creating products that have that really solve real problems and aren't just sort of PowerPoint ideas, I think that getting funded and being able to start great ventures is still a very, very possible thing right now. And in fact, something that I encourage a lot of entrepreneurs to look at, because the environment is still quite good for new business.
And speaking of that environment, I know that you also mentor young female entrepreneurs who are trying to break into the tech space. And I was wondering, from your perspective as both a successful executive in this field and someone who's trying to bring more female entrepreneurs into the field, what needs to change or be done to help make that possible?
Yeah, I'll start by saying, I am, as grateful as I am to be on panels such as this and interviews such as this. I have been very lucky along the way to be supported by great bosses, advocated for, and I think that is a really critical effort that's required in order to bring additional women into leadership roles. Right. At some point, I do think it's interesting to ask the same question of folks who are up and coming, because there is an element of survivorship bias, if you will, in asking women who've sort of made it to the leadership levels. But generally, in my conversations with team members as well as others within the industry, it's really critical and helpful to provide mentorship, allyship in a structured, sort of systemic fashion in order to really bring that culture into play in a pervasive manner to elevate more folks, give more opportunity to women at large.
And if you're a man who works in an industry who may have an issue in terms of gender balance or wants to take a more proactive role in trying to be an ally to up and coming female entrepreneurs or employees in any space, what should they be doing and thinking about?
That's such a great question. I think that one is ensuring that space is created for folks to have experience, to have learning opportunities, to take on more than maybe they would have in their role up until that point. I think there's a little bit of that allowance that's required and a little bit of trust to ensure that people get the opportunities to do more and grow in their careers. And I would also think, aside from ensuring folks internally within organizations are able to take on more and more responsibility, I would say, from a hiring perspective, being disciplined around ensuring that you have, a broad range of individuals that you look for within your sort of sourcing process and stage of interviewing, I think is very critical. Ensuring that you have a diverse reach geographically helps, but as well in terms of experiences, I think that's something that is a discipline and something that needs to be proactively done by folks looking to broaden their workforce.
Certainly. And, zooming out a little bit too to, the broader state of the economy as well. We're calling you from Washington, D.C. And I was wondering if there's anything in the public policy realm that you think could be helpful in terms of bringing more balance to the workforce, whether there's something Washington could do that might make it easier for everybody to have kind of a jump up to get to where they want to be career-wise without having to make as many other sacrifices along the way.
I love that question, and I think that, industries are at different stages within being able to sort of help and support people across the workforce. I would say, if you think about the tech industry where I have quite a bit of experience, it's been able to do a pretty good job in providing flexibility to workers in the new environment that we're in, right? Not necessarily having to be back in an office 5 days and being able to balance sort of home and work responsibilities with more flexibility. I would say that while the tech industry has done a great job in this, I think there are a lot of industries that have still ways to go, either because of necessity or tradition, in order to provide that level of flexibility. And I certainly think this is an area where there could be policy support and even assistance in ensuring that we've got the right types of, childcare options and, other things like that are cost effective to help people be able to manage both the work responsibilities as well as the home responsibilities in an area where you may not have the immense flexibility that comes with technology industries.
Chitra Balasubramanian, Chief Financial Officer of CircleCI, thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your perspectives with us.
Thank you so much, Sylvan.